Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 504 for the week of Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here to speak with me?
Brock Sager.
And not Charlie.
Oh, that'd be Kevin. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Ryan.
I just got a text from my friends asking if Loki is tonight. And technically, yes, it is tonight at 12:01. Loki's starting.
Are you staying awake?
No,
old man.
No, God, no. God, no.
Oh,
And what's worse,
so
zero chance of me watching it tonight. Watching it Wednesday night and staying awake is a tall order, possibly. I'll see. Thursday's Land's birthday, so unlikely we're going to watch it then. So I might not see Loki till Friday. We'll see if I can watch it tomorrow night.
I already locked and loaded the muted words on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Mephisto, Magneto,
Stork,
mutants,
Yeah.
Stork.
I heard the Stork.
Hiddleston. There's probably 5 that I did.
Did you do Squirrel?
It's funny.
No. Should I?
I don't know. There might be a Thor Squirrel or something.
Reviews have been super, super positive. I haven't read any of them, but I saw all the posts about basically a perfect or near perfect Rotten Tomato score, and just pretty much perfect reviews from everyone. So
after Falcon Winter Soldier, the bar was lowered a bit. So
and that is a legitimate concern. I thought WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier were basically no-brainers. And there was definitely problems with both, depending on who you talk to, right? I don't necessarily agree with the WandaVision complaints, but people were very bored with the first couple episodes. I don't agree with that, but that is a general complaint about the first season. And then, obviously we talked Falcon Winter Soldier to death here and our problems with it. So, not flawless starts, but I think overall good. My hopes are very high for Loki, but we'll see.
You'll see Friday.
Yeah, I'll try to watch it tomorrow night. I'll try to watch it on Wednesday night. And I'm not.
This coming from the guy that said, "Yeah, that's a high order."
I can try. I can Clockwork Orange and just force myself to stay awake, just hold my eyeballs
But
open.
the ultimate conclusion is by the recording of next episode, you will have watched it.
Yeah, and I expect we'll do similar with Loki like we have the other shows. I say we won't talk about it every week, and then it'll be a 45-minute conversation every week.
Hey, people like it, man. People want that Loki talk.
Oh, no. Loki must end right when... Loki? No, I think we talked about this, right? Loki's still going to be on the air when
Black Widow drops.
Black Widow's out, right?
Yeah. But I don't think that really matters because Black Widow was supposed to be out way before Loki anyway.
Sure, but I'm just saying it's surprising to see them have him kind of cross a little bit. I thought maybe they would have pushed Black Widow out a couple weeks and then have Loki and Black Widow come out end of July or something like that. But they're gonna the other shows, the other movies are going to be so quickly after. So
having them both out at the same time and you can gotta watch Loki, it might push more people to hit that subscribe button to the Disney Plus service and then pay the extra for the movie.
Yeah. Since we're talking Loki here, I'll do a little reverse here. We'll start with the movie and TV stuff because we got a lot of news this week. To talk about. Last couple of weeks, very, very little. So it's good to see we got a lot coming out this week. And speaking of high hopes, but some concerns, of course, we need to start with the tiniest little bit we saw of Netflix's The Sandman coming.
Wait, hold on. Kevin, you heard him doubt this show?
I hered the word some concern.
Some concerns. Well, hold on.
It's Sandman.
Hold on. I believe they said 2022, right? Is that correct? Yeah. I don't think there's a firm date yet, but I would think early mid 2022. So we still got some time. They've just started filming. Netflix did a little behind the scenes with Neil Gaiman showing some of the sets. There's no footage or anything like that. They just talked to some of the actors. People say, "Oh, Sandman's the most amazing thing ever, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty cool.
So they just repeat what you say.
My concern is Netflix.
Why?
Netflix's history of canceling shows immediately, canceling stuff in the middle of canceling shows in the middle of arcs. We'll talk more about that with another show very soon, right after this. Just nothing sticking around. They just can't commit to any show. I hate the binge model, so more than likely we will. I will. Of course, you can watch as much as you want, but I will probably cover an episode of Sandman a week on here because I can't watch 8 episodes or 10 episodes or whatever in a day or a week even. There's almost no chance, right?
Man, his Sandman commitment is just floundering in his old.
I just don't have time. I literally had to take a day off work.
This is coming from the guy that's taking next Tuesday off in the morning to watch the entire Nintendo presentation.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah, the after parts. Yeah, it's once a year. I get sick for a few hours. A Tuesday at 9 a.m.
You can't just binge watch Sandman on a Sunday?
No, I can't. I hate it.
I agree with you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Not about Nintendo, about...
Sure.
I wouldn't... Especially a show like that, this is just going to be so dense and quote-unquote chewy, meaning there's going to be a lot to process.
It'll be my Friday night show.
And then I'll watch every episode one at a time for this podcast.
Yeah, it'll be my Friday night show. I'll watch one episode a week on Friday, so we'll have something to talk about.
So what's your concern? Just Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what are you concerned about?
Netflix sucks. They kill shows immediately. Nothing sticks around with Netflix. I would love to see the comparison of how long Netflix shows last compared to network shows. Yes, networks kill shows all the time. Don't get me wrong, but Netflix it's a joke at this point. And I hate the binge model. So I think it ruins storytelling. So that's 2 massive strikes against it. I don't watch anything on Netflix at this point. I haven't watched anything in a long time. Every now and again, something random will show up. But that didn't start on Netflix. And we're not watching Lucifer binge. I'm not watching it all at once. It is the same model. It's the same people.
But wait a minute. You are saying you hate Netflix. Netflix sucks. You don't watch anything, but you're giving them money every month. Is that correct?
Yeah, all Leanne watches stuff, and we do. I do occasionally watch stuff on Netflix, but
remember that show Ozarks?
No. We kind of.
That's on Amazon, isn't it?
No.
Ozark?
Leanne did not like it, so we didn't keep watching it.
Yeah.
Ozark. I liked it, but it was same thing. I mean, I'm not going to watch it. I can't binge that, and that's a rare show that got over 2 seasons, right? It's 3 or 4 or something.
I think they're going into their 4th season.
Yeah, a rare Netflix show that actually is continuing. So, I am. When they're trying to make your favorite thing, it is unlikely to match up with the comic. So I'm
unlikely to match up to the comic, or unlikely to match up to your expectation of the adaptation that they're making of the comic from your point of view.
Well, yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I want a Sandman TV show. I have sort of a certain thing in my head for it, and of course I'm going to watch it. Of course I'm going in as open as I possibly can. Compared to the stuff they've talked about in the past with Sandman, where it was going to be some superhero. Not that they couldn't do a superhero Sandman movie. That'd probably be amazing if they did something with Wesley Dodds. But it was going to be this goofy ass other thing. I mean, clearly Neil Gaiman's not doing this just to do it. I mean, he's, from everything he's said, they're doing this right. These people know Sandman. They are treating it with the respect it deserves. It is clearly going to be changed in some fashion, but incredibly accurate to the comic. And that's all I want. That's great. It's just, we could get 1,000 Batman movies and TV shows. Man, I don't know how many shots you get at Sandman.
So would you rather they not adapt Sandman? All things being equal, would you just rather it exists only as a comic and is never adapted?
If they're going to do it, this is not Netflix, but what they are doing seems to be the best possible way. Short season, high budget, adult, seemingly consistent with the pacing of the comic because of what they've talked about. It seems like, again, Kevin, I don't know, do you care? Not like roughly what this feels like this is going to adapt, because you've seen the casting, right? I mean,
didn't he say it's the first 2 books?
Yeah, so it's Preludes and Nocturnes and Doll's House, right? So that's great. That's amazing. That's exactly what I want. I kind of felt like, a great part of me almost would prefer a dreaming TV show so they can do whatever they want and just go completely off script. But if you're going to accurately adapt Sandman, this is the way to do it. So if you're doing 2 books in a season, that is 5 seasons.
Well, Kindly Ones is a little bit longer.
Sure, but they could skip some of the one-shot episodes, one-shot issues and stuff like that. So,
but they also have stuff like from the short story book.
There's tons of other stuff too. But that's what I'm saying. A 5-season adaptation of Sandman is just about perfect. I'm concerned because it's on Netflix. That is my biggest red flag. If this was HBO Max, I'd be like, I think they'll do this. They'll stick this. They'll keep it going. I have way more faith in HBO Max. I have way more faith in Amazon. They just signed Invincible for seasons 2 and 3, right? They signed them for 2 seasons. Netflix ever signed anything like that? Maybe, but it's Netflix. It's 100% Netflix is my concern. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm stupid excited for it. I want it to be amazing. I hope it is. I really, really hope it is. But that's my concern is Netflix. Yeah.
And your number 2 concern is the casting of the African American actress's death, right?
Look, you are joking.
Troll. Yes,
obviously,
yes.
You are joking there. There is that is a case where I'll just have to wait and see how she is. I have no idea who she is. Hopefully, it's great, right? When they cast Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer, I was like, perfect. That's great. That's amazing. I could see that. I totally see how that'll work. That works really well, right? Just because I'm familiar with her for her other work, and Lucifer feels like a character they can do that with. Neil Gaiman's been on quite a bit of a tear with people that are complaining about various casting of characters, specifically Death and Delirium. I saw, or not Delirium, Desire. I saw a few people that were like Desire's a girl. It's like, no, Desire is not a girl. Desire is transgender. Always has been.
She what's her name from the girl who played Batwoman?
That's playing. Is she playing Desire?
No. Like, what's her name again? Because I forget it.
Are you talking about Ruby Rose?
Yeah, Ruby Rose. Like, Ruby Rose has that kind of in-between look for that's close to what Desire's supposed to be, which is...
But she's not playing her. But she's not playing...
I know, but I'm saying that look is what Desire's supposed to be. Desire's supposed to be like that heat haze.
She's right? I mean, Desire as a character is androgynous, obviously, right? But they are whatever you perceive them to be, right? That's the point with Death too, right? Is Death and Dream and all the Endless look different to everyone. I think it's pretty.
Dream changes into like that with the black guy for the African American.
Yeah, he turns into like Harumner for Martian Manhunter, right? Dream could be anything.
It's a cat at one point.
Yeah. So like you can apply that we see these characters this way because this is Neil Gaiman's interpretation of what he sees as the writer, right? I mean, if that's how you want to look at it, of why they look the way they do in the comic book. So, no, it does not really bother me either way. If the actor's good, then great. I mean, there'd be people. I mean, if it was like, I don't know. I don't even know. if they cast some completely, fuck, I guess like Roseanne as Death. Okay, then yeah, I'd have a problem. Okay, sure, that may be kind of interesting, but I'd still have a big problem with that, right? But it's just a random actress. Like, yeah, I have no idea who this person is. Hopefully, she's great. Whatever. Yeah, yeah. If I mean, there's a small part of me that wants the characters to look like they do in the comics, and I think that's fair. But I'll judge it based off the performance, and hopefully it's good. If she sucks, well, that's unfortunate, but I don't see why she would. I'm assuming they're, should be in theory the second most important character in the show. Maybe not the second most important, but the second most importantly cast character, I would think. They're not stupid. They know the appeal of Death as a character, so.
I always go back to those one-page descriptions that were in Season of Mists for each of the Endless.
Yeah.
Right. And how they're talking just about the characters and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, you see different interpretations of, you see different slight variations of the same character throughout this series drawn by different creators. But when you get to like Death's description, it was just, and then there's Death.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's one of those things where it's just like, I think you can also read those descriptions if you want to get like super meta about it as your interpretation of what is written down as the description, right? So Martian Manhunter reading that description would read a completely different set of words, right? That's if you want to get like deep into how the Sandman mythos is, right? I think the true test for the actress who's playing Death is if they do the sound of her wings, that's going to be the test at how well she
should be the halfway point, right?
Right.
I mean, if they're doing Preludes and Nocturnes and Dollhouse, that should be the middle episode. So what is it? 8 episodes, 10 episodes, right? So that should be episode 4 or 5, 5 or 6, right? I don't know how they're going to do Dr. D and
I can't wait.
So excited to see.
I want to see the serial convention.
Yeah, I am super excited for this stuff. I expect some stuff will be changed probably, but maybe not. Maybe they'll go like full horror for like the first 4 episodes or something.
You guys both listened to the audiobook, right?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And it's just like,
it's
man,
so good. Just
the dialogue and stuff like that. If they just translated that over with sets, I would be like, okay, we're good.
Yeah. They're gonna use what's her name? Is it Joanne Constantine? I can't remember what her name is.
Joanna
Constantine. Yeah. I expect she'll just fully take the role that John Constantine had. She's a real character, so that's fine. I would have loved to have seen John Constantine, but whatever. And it's what's her face too?
No, wasn't she in there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, she was in it.
John's especially
John's in it.
Huh?
John's in it.
Yeah, John's in it because he gets the pouch from John.
Yes. Well, no, John helps him find the pouch because remember that girl has it and she's been basically using it like an addict or like
right. So I would expect because it's what's her face from Doctor Who, right? That's playing. Jeez, hold on, I'm blanking.
But like this is his great grandma, right?
Jenna Coleman. Yeah, Jenna Coleman's playing her. What's that?
Is she the what's the relation to John Constantine?
Yeah, like great grandmother. Yeah, she's like the Old West.
But they show up. One of the previous early Constantine shows up in Sandman in one of those like isn't like there a Constantine in one of the tavern scenes?
She's in the doll's house with I can't think of the character's name now. This is
Joanna?
Yeah. She's in the doll's house.
She Where is she in the doll's house?
Is her first appearance I don't know the issue number, but it's in the Doll's House arc.
All right, let me take a look here.
We should have all our research already locked and loaded.
I didn't. I don't remember. That's it says yeah. It's in.
Is the character's name Hob?
It's in issue 13. Yeah,
Hob. Does that sound right? I'm kind of pulling this out of thin air.
Yeah. It's when he's talking with Hob.
I don't think I realized that was her first appearance.
Yeah, like that's because that's where I was like, she shows up in the.
There's a tavern.
Yeah.
There's a tavern scene.
Oh yeah. That's right.
So what you don't know from sitting at this point is the Netflix show going to include something like that?
Yeah,
Lady Joanna Constantine.
No, I don't mean her. I mean, will the Netflix show include like hobgaddling in a tavern in the 1700s or whatever year it was supposed to be?
Bonnie Rig. That's the house.
Men.
Yeah, I'm not going to be rereading Sandman before the show. Yeah, because man, there's a ton of characters. Yeah. Again, I would. Maybe she'll be both. Maybe she'll be in both parts. They'll have the flashback with her in Doll's House, and they'll have her in the current day, kind of taking the spot of John Constantine when he's looking for his ruby and his helmet and his bag of sand and all that stuff. So, either way, I'm mostly excited. Okay, so I'm looking at this right because Joanna Constantine owns Bonnie Rig, which then becomes the property of Roderick Burgess, which is where he is
entrapped.
Right. So maybe they're going to just mix all this up a tad and do something different and maybe introduce her in like the first half flashback, or they'll mix these stories together a little bit instead of two kind of pretty separate story arcs. Either way,
we'll know in a year.
Yeah. Toby. Now the question is, will Toby have read Sandman before the show comes out? He's been threatening it for years. Do we think Toby will read it?
I'm still missing 3 books.
Toby, what are you thinking?
When's it coming out?
This time next year, probably.
Probably a year from now.
If I do it, will you do this side podcast with me, Ryan Higgins?
Toby, I will 100% host a podcast called Toby Explains Sandman.
Well, no, it should be retitled Ryan Higgins Explains Sandman.
No. I want you to guide the listeners through the world of Sandman. I will
only do that if you tell me afterwards what was meant.
I will 100% as you explain to me every issue of Sandman in chronological order. We will have a conversation, but I want to hear your explanation of the issues first.
You know how many times I've tried to read that Sandman trade paperback volume 1? Like, you know how many times in my comic book selling career I've actually tried reading that thing?
It's so good.
And then I've tried like 4 times listening to that audio adventure, which is just a lot of loud noises to me. Like, ooh, you've been in prison for 1,400 years. I'm like, goddamn fucking him. I was like, and then, you fast forward, it's like, you still in prison? I'm like, what the fuck? There's like nothing happening in this shit.
This is the first episode. That is literally the first issue. 1 issue.
All right. Let's do this. I'm missing 3 books. I'm still missing 3 books. I got the first 3.
Well, Toby, for the Netflix, all you need is volume 1 and 2.
Yep.
Oh, which, the trades or the
trades? The trades.
Oh shit! Then I'm good.
Yep.
How far does the audio adventure go?
Same, right?
Yeah,
Same,
first
yeah.
2. Yep.
So it's the same material. All right. So I'm gonna read the books. I'm gonna listen to the audio adventure, and then I'm gonna blow your mind, Ryan Higgins, because it's gonna be like a completely different story.
Toby's gonna walk into work one day, long black hair, black eyeliner, trench coat, death t-shirt,
piercing.
Yeah.
Hey man,
it's gonna look like me in 1997. It's gonna be incredible.
Only if it's around my nipple.
I think the eyeliner goes a little further than the two trades, because wasn't the Midsummer Night's Dream in it too?
Yeah. That's what they said in the and I'm sure the show's going to do the same thing. But that's what they said in the audio adaptation. Is they said they moved a few things around a little bit, but it's just to find better places to stop. And that's
how the trades have been for years. Like the trades don't actually go completely in order. It skips around for like. Some issues are pulled from like where they are in chronologically to where they fit in telling of the story.
Yeah, they dump all the one shots kind of in one book together, like that are a little disconnected and are not essential to the plot. They put all that in one of the books. So yeah, you can the trade order is totally fine way to read it.
No, it's essential reading. It seems, and it seems like everybody that has read it is like religious about this thing.
Yeah, it's weird white people stuff, Toby. You might not like it. That's what I'm saying.
What other weird white people thing did I read that I actually
awesome stuff?
Well, you were wrong about the Umbrella Academy because I love that motherfucking thing.
Yeah, that does not seem like something you would like, but I guess
I fucking loved it.
The show, though. Did you like the comic?
Well, I watched the show first and then read the comic, so might have been influenced, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah. What other book would be in that? Like, Just a Pilgrim I hated.
Which one?
Just a Pilgrim.
The Garth Ennis book?
Yeah, man. That's some weird fucking white people shit, man. That's some creepy-ass stuff, man. I don't like that. I did not like that book. That was icky. That was icky.
Oh, hey, wait. I think Toby may have queued you up for your next topic, speaking of creepy or weird white people shit and Netflix.
Oh, well, that's what I was getting to. Yeah. The other big news around Netflix, and again, I'm not concerned about the money, because clearly they're willing to spend $200 million on a giant pile of shit. But Netflix canceled Jupiter's Legacy after like days, like not even a month, right after it premiered. Like they dropped it and they killed Jupiter's Legacy halfway through season 1. It technically got one season, but it like wasn't even the full season. It was like the first half or whatever.
That's gotta hurt.
I need to read this. I need to read this this thread here. I'm gonna.
You want us to talk amongst ourselves real quick?
This is from Elvis Dutton on Twitter. This was posted on Comics Beat. I'm just gonna read the thing in its entirety, because this is this heightened my concern about Sandman. Okay, this heightened my concern about Sandman. So Jupiter's Legacy was canceled. Frank Whiteley and Mark Miller comic book. I was never going to watch it, but I have heard universally bad things about it. Multiple people have told me they were not able to make it through the first episode. So this show all reports were the show was watched, but by whatever metric Netflix judges a show to be a failure. This must have been a huge one because of how quickly it was canceled. So let me read this. He says, Jupiter's Legacy has been canceled and two things have happened. One, people are now actually talking about the show, which, let's be honest, was not happening while the show came out. Two, now that it's complete, we can start the autopsy. Let's dig into this mess. Now, again, this is kind of long, but I want to read this. He says, first things first, for those who don't know, and not even people who reported on the news know, Jupiter's Legacy was supposed to be an adaptation of a trilogy of comic maxi series written by Mark Miller and drawn by a whole lot of great artists. Specifically, the show itself takes its name from and primarily was meant to adapt the first of these maxi series, which takes place second chronologically. And I say meant to because at 8 episodes of an hour each, the show only adapts one issue. This wasn't necessarily a bad thing. While I enjoyed the comics, they are very compressed, with many important plot details either happening in between time skips or off page, so some of the show decided to explore and explain some of these blanks, but overdoes it. Not only does it try to expand on important plot threads that was glossed over in the comics, it makes the fatal decision to actually set the entire series before the comic even begins, which means the entire series builds up to the first issue of the comic. And that's a fatal mistake because of how the Maxi series is structured, which is that in the comic this is adapting, the plot doesn't begin until the third issue. So this show spends a season and ends before the premise even starts. So by the end of the first season, after 8 hours of show, the viewer is left with nothing. A show about nothing. Now, if it was Seinfeld, I'd be okay with that. This has no real story, narrative hook, or gimmick. I can't even fathom how you spend $200 million on this kind of hollow product, but it gets worse. It gets worse. The show decides to apply the same methods to the character arcs themselves, to insanely backwards results. The most obvious of which being that the main character of the comic is turned into barely an afterthought in the show. The show hasn't forgotten about the main character, but that is decided to build up to her. So rather than expanding on that character, they give her worse traits, personality, dynamics, so she can grow in later seasons. Of course, the character development for the main character in the comic starts when the premise begins in the third issue, and as we've established, the show only ends up adapting issue 1, so we're left with a horrible character that gets no growth, no arc, and no personality. To put this short, this was a show with no story, no narrative gimmick, no central premise, and no main character. Why would people care about anything the show has to offer if it is completely hollow? Add in awful effects and generally bad writing to boot. This was DOA. The other thing the show spends its runtime giving the most hacking should superhero kill plot of all time. And in the end, it doesn't even have anything interesting to say about the topic at all. So you're left watching something that feels 30 years out of date. That is one of the most brutal takedowns I think I've ever heard of a TV show. Hey. And boy, could it not have happened to a nicer guy. Hey, look, I don't want the actors, to get, loser jobs. God bless the artists for doing all the stuff with Miller World. They made a shitload of money. Netflix paid out the ass for this stuff. But what a shock that Mark Miller products are hollow pieces of junk that don't hold up. And
wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Am I the only one?
Nonsense.
Am I the only one who read it?
Yeah, I've never read it.
I read I think the first few issues of Jupiter's Legacy, and I just didn't care. Yeah.
Great art. I flipped through the issue.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many bizarre things about this whole story. Set aside, if you just slapped me awake at 3 a.m. and said, quick, pick a Mark Miller property to adapt out the gate for Netflix, this wouldn't even be in the top 5. Yeah. Jupiter's Legacy. And it's not to say that it's bad. It's just like, how did nobody go, wait a minute, now we're coming in the wake of The Boys. We're going to air a month after Invincible ended? I don't even remember when that ended. A month ago, maybe?
And The Boys and Invincible are hitting on some of that same...
Yes.
Look, the shitty superhero is a tired trope, but it can still be an okay story. And The Boys does a good job with it because I think The Boys pulls back from the comic. It is not as over the top as the comic. Invincible, the villain twist, and we'll do Invincible later in the podcast, assuming everyone finished it. It's not a superhero being an asshole. It's a completely kind of, it's a more Thunderbolts like, reveal as opposed to just the guy being a jerk. So, I feel like they both figured out ways to do these stories better. Yeah. Wanted and Kick-Ass feel like pretty,
they are what they are.
Easy enough to adapt. Yeah. But this feels like, this is him trying to be Alan Moore, and it's like, why would this is not where you start? It's a little bit like Watchmen.
Just wanted
that
to
is
say
just not the movie version of Watchmen. Although I think it's fine, but what is Watchmen to an audience that hasn't read Superman?
Right.
that hasn't read the Justice Society, it's kind of meaningless. So,
but hey, Super Crooks is going to continue that world.
Yeah, fuck off. Like, who cares? Like,
but you know what? But somebody there had to have raised their hand and said, "Hey, wait a minute. We've got this filmed. We've sunk all this money in. Let's just sit on it for 6 months. Let those other things kind of wash downriver a little bit, so it's not so fresh."
Yeah.
Because what's the hook? The Boys is like the nasty R-rated Justice League show.
Yeah.
Invincible's the adult cartoon. And Jupiter's Legacy is the what? There's not even that hook that you would explain it to somebody who didn't know what it was from the comics. It's a superhero show, you know. Oh, it's that cartoon? No. Oh, it's that one on Amazon with all the violence? No, it's not that one either. Nobody would know what the F it is if you hadn't read it, and there's not anything that differentiates it. So I just don't know why somebody didn't say, just so we don't take a total bath on this, let's just give it a try in October or November. Just try it.
Yeah. But that $200 million price tag, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
That's like 1.5 MCU movie money. Like, and like, it looks bad. I watched like that first little teaser and I'm like, this looks like a bad fan film. Like, the costumes look bad. The effects look bad.
I have seen fan films that look better than that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a bad fan film, right? Like, it just, where'd this money go? Like, yeah, and that's, this didn't learn from the problem that a lot of the superhero movies made and have learned from is just get going, get the plot going, guys. The Preacher TV show did this. I hated it because the first season dicks around and you don't even get the Preacher in the first season. It's like not even the same. It's not even like just go start from the beginning, right? And Sandman could make that same mistake, which is why I'm happy to see that Neil Gaiman's like, oh no, this is like dead on, and the characters are all the right character names, and it's it's the right, theoretically, what should be the right content for the start of it, because
you'll know in Sandman if you're in Jupiter's Legacy territory if it begins with a teenage Roderick Burgess. Then get ready.
Yeah, whole season of the family, like because of how all things like Walking Dead and Sandman started. Neil Gaiman's famously said, like, he's like, I don't know, I just wrote it. I had no idea if it was going to last two issues, right? Like, he's like, I figured to do an arc and see what happens, right? And Walking Dead's the same way, right? They don't really flesh the stuff out until it goes on because they have no idea how big it's going to be. So there's just no waste of time, right? They just immediately are into the story, and you get the entire, basically the kind of origin of Sandman, his capture, his imprisonment, and him breaking free in 22 pages. Yeah. Or maybe it was number one, like an oversized 130-something pages, right?
Yeah, it was a little
longer. You get a crap load of story in that first issue, right? And look, the episode that adapts, it's like almost an hour long of the audiobook. So like it is not like just, gotta go fight some guy. Oh, I lost my helm. No, there is a ton of backstory in that first issue, and they just they get to the point very quickly. How many times have you read a comic where you're like, well, this doesn't tell me anything. I'm at the end of the first issue, and it's like nothing's happened, right?
So many times.
Yeah. That a TV show has to be the same way, and I'm not surprised. That's again, I haven't watched it, and I won't watch it. I definitely won't watch it now. But yeah, multiple people told me they couldn't. Customers at the store were like, "I tried, I couldn't make it through the first episode." That's
bad.
That is telling.
Sounds
but
like
hey, Sweet Tooth Stout.
Toby, I think the difference is Sandman might not be for you, but you acknowledge that it is a important work and popular.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I sold so many of them. It was both Sandman and Sin City at the time that I kept selling, and Sin City was the other one where I flipped through and go, why in the world is this shit selling?
But see, that feels like totally up your alley.
Well, not the art.
No.
Not before I read it, because I was like, this is not the Frank Miller I know. Well, now it is, but at the time, because I've known him from, Daredevil and Batman, that I was like, this is not the Frank Miller I know. And after, I don't know, the 200th book I sold, within, the same couple of months, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and read this. And I was blown away by Sin City. I loved the fuck out of it. And then at that point, the art all made sense, right?
I don't remember if I talked about this when they did the Comics Pro meeting, when we had our talk with Dark Horse. Mm-hmm. The one thing my group of retailers said to Dark Horse was, you guys got a lot of stuff out of print. We can't sell stuff if we can't get it. You've got to get the stuff back into print. And I specifically said, so I don't know if the new edition's coming out or because of me or because of my group or just general feedback or if they already had plans. I don't know. But they're coming out with new editions of Sin City. And I said, Sin City should be one of your most celebrated books. That is a book that should be available perennially in hardcover and softcover format, because that is a book that's going to sell forever.
Yeah.
And you may have points where the sales kind of dip and go and up and down, but it's Frank Miller. It's Sin City.
Yeah.
This is just a book that will always sell.
Look,
it's finally coming back. Sin City's basically been out of print for years.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, it's all coming back in print. First volume's coming back end of the year.
There are certain, I feel like, comic milestones that every comic fan should read, right? And this is why I'm so disappointed in myself for not having done Sandman yet. But Sandman is one of them. Sin City is one of them. Watchmen is obviously
look. If you're not into crime noir, hard boiled stuff, I get Sin City again. Like Sandman to you might not be your thing, but it is definitely something every comic fan should check out because it is very unique.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Frank Miller at a very interesting time, post Dark Knight, before getting totally crazy. He's very experimental. Ronin, maybe Kevin, if you want to speak to this, Ronin might be the most experimental he's done, but I put Sin City maybe as a little bit more important.
That's
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yes, but my only argument would be that Ronin came out through DC and thus would have more eyeballs on it than a Dark Horse. I'm not talking about the movie.
Right,
I'm talking about just the original release of the comics.
Yeah.
But it's six and a half dozen.
Yeah, I think those are both very unique works. That kind of he was.
Wait, was the Mel Gibson movie based on Frank Miller's Ronin?
No, I don't think so.
Mel Gibson.
Well, or am I remembering wrong?
Oh, the De Niro movie.
De Niro, is that?
No. Miller's comic is a samurai story.
Okay.
He's really experimental with his art. I don't think maybe quite as much as Sin City because he does very unique stuff with Sin City.
But there's a movie based on it?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misheard it.
He's talking about the Sin City movie.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, Jupiter's Legacy. There's not much to say. Netflix blew a shitload of money buying Miller World stuff, and I just don't. Yeah. Okay. Not much to really say about that.
Did they get Kingsman with all that stuff too?
I don't think so. I don't think they got Kick-Ass and Kingsman.
But basically everything else and anything else he's going to create.
Yeah, because I think that would be the other. Who has Kingsman? Is that?
Well,
it's like Fox or something, was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Wait, is that Disney now?
Was it Fox?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
No,
the reason why I ask is, do you think Netflix looked at Kingsman and go, "We want more like that"?
Oh yeah, sure, sure.
And then our good friend Miller said, "Yes, of course I have more." There will be a little trouble now.
Yeah.
There's another Kingsman movie coming out.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yes, Kingsman is 20th Century Fox.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is Disney now. Holy shit!
That's very funny. That's very, very funny. Other big movie news. Hold on. Before we get away from the Netflix, I meant to ask: has anyone seen Sweet Tooth? Did anyone start watching that? We won't. No spoilers. We won't talk anything about it. But
I saw the first one only.
Okay. Now again, dropped on Netflix. Big budget. Reviews are almost flawless. People have said it's incredible. So I'm hopeful for Sandman to come back to this. Just I have some concerns, but I've heard nothing but good things about Sweet Tooth.
Now, Sweet Tooth, the comic was also very highly regarded, wasn't it? When it came out?
Yeah. I think the show's pretty.
Huh?
I said I just say that again. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I remember it being a big deal when it came out. I don't think it was huge, but it had a good audience, didn't it? The comic.
Yeah.
Sweet Tooth had a solid following. It wasn't anything like dramatically huge.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge hit, but it was a unique title. It's one of those where I never read it, so I never read any of Sweet Tooth. But that compendium's there, so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's time to pick that up and give that a read because I do like Jeff Lemire. I love Jeff Lemire, but the idea seems neat. So
yeah, I think like when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, this like when I think I tried reading the first issue and it was like, what am I reading? Yeah. But then it's like, but at the time I wasn't really reading Jeff Lemire's stuff. But now that I've read more of his stuff, I'm like, I've gone back and actually read some things like Underwater Welter and things like that. So it's like, oh, okay, well now I'm gonna give Sweet Tooth a try. So I'll read a little bit before I watch the show.
I think it's a little bit different from the comic, which is fine. Okay.
So what's the premise? Is this the one where he eats and then can feel the other person's like thoughts and shit?
No, that's true. Yeah.
Oh.
And that's not even Jeff Lemire. That
was a hit too, though, right? At least
that's Layman, right?
Yeah.
All right, what's the premise on Sweet Tooth? Because I gotta be honest, the comic and the trailer on Netflix.
So
reminds me of The Rock as Rudolph the reindeer or whatever that trailer was. Have you seen that? Where The Rock has these like deer ears.
Oh.
Have you never? Yeah, where he like hops around, or there's a Vin Diesel that is like the hopper, or no, is it Bambi? I think it's a Bambi trailer. Yeah, I think it was Bambi, like where Vin Diesel is like the bunny rabbit, and he goes, "I hop," and then like The Rock is Bambi, and he had the deer ears. Have you never seen this?
No.
This is fantastic, but whenever I look at the Sweet Tooth thing, I just think of The Rock with like deer ears.
Well, here's the short version for listeners who already know what this is. Get ready for a crazy plot twist. There's a virus running wild across the planet.
Okay.
And adults are dying, like large swaths of the population are dying. But during this time, children start being born that have animal qualities. So like one might look like a bird or like, have some feathers. One might have antlers. One might look like a monkey.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so nobody knows at the beginning, did the virus cause these mutations or are these completely separate things? Or did the mutations cause the virus? And so it's basically a post-apocalyptic story about this one boy who's part deer. And I can't say too much more, except it's kind of like, imagine the Walking Dead world, but no zombies, just like the kind of broken down remains of civilization and bands of scavengers and things like that.
Okay.
But the first episode was really good. Now, I haven't read the comic since it came out, so I can't comment on was it completely faithful or half faithful or anything like that. But the first episode was really good.
Cool.
Yeah, and this is definitely one I'll get to eventually. And it
was like a DC comic or Image.
Yeah, Vertigo. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so we'll have more to say in Sweet Tooth in the coming weeks. When I get to watch the 10 episodes over the course of 10 or 12 weeks or however long it takes me.
I think you would like it, actually.
Oh yeah, no, I'm super excited. Yeah, I really want to watch it, but I'm not a real fan.
Kevin?
I can't sit down and watch it all at one time.
I don't know, Toby. That's a harder one for me because I feel like I don't know.
Well, he grows out to be The Rock, then I will.
No, he's. You should watch the first episode and you'll know if you want to continue or not. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Kids with weird powers seems up Toby's alley.
It's not even a power, though. You know what I mean?
I know.
Okay. I didn't want to give the impression there's like super heroic things going on.
Yeah. However, the truly greatest comic book movie of all time finally has a full cast list. And we can now start the countdown because League of Super Pets has revealed the complete cast with, obviously, The Rock as Crypto. Right? We know this. Now
that's a show I will watch.
We also have officially Kevin Hart will be playing Ace the Bat Hound.
That is so brilliant.
Rounding out the cast. Now, we don't know who they're going to play. However, we have some names here. Kate McKinnon. John Krasinski, of course, from
Kate's got to be the cat.
Kangaroo.
Jumpa. Yeah, Kate McKinnon could be streaky. Yeah, that's pretty likely, I would think. Vanessa Bayer, who I recognize, but I don't really know her from anything. She's another comedian. What's her name? Natasha Lyonne, who spending just a shitload of stuff. I know she was in what's that big one? She was Orange is the New Black, but
and Russian Doll.
Right, that's out now. She's married to who? Oh, Fred Armisen. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Yeah. I like Fred Armisen. Super funny. She was in episodes of Pee-wee's Playhouse in 1986. That's very bizarre. And Diego Luna is also going to be in it.
Oh, Diego Luna.
That is and a special guest star, Keanu Reeves.
Hell yeah!
So that is a hell of a cast.
I'm in. That's a first day watch for me. I'll even pay for it.
I mean, look, it's animated feature, right? But I'm very, very excited. Very excited for this. Of course, one of the funniest tweets I've seen all night is Dan Slott said, if Keanu Reeves plays Superman and his death is Crypto's motivation, I will lose it. # reverse John Wick. So I'm down with that. Yeah. May 20th, 2022. So strap in. I am super excited. Kevin, I think we can actually go to the Cruel World on Saturday, May 14th, come back, and then boom, right, straight into Super Pets.
Oh, man, that's going to be a hell of a double feature.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So I, of course, am very, very excited for League of Super Pets. I guess for comic book news, talk about, hold on. There was something else I didn't want to talk about. So they opened Avengers Campus this weekend at Disneyland, and
they did?
Yeah. It opened on Friday. As you know, I'm a big Disney fan, big Disneyland fan, especially, and no intention on going back anytime this year. Well, we'll definitely try to go back next year. But still wanting to, let things cool down a little bit before we start really doing the big gatherings, big mass gatherings. Disney's done a couple funky things where they sort of open parts of their park, these new attractions sort of not quite done. This was a big complaint when Star Wars Land opened, and then they just got the new ride open right prior to the pandemic. So weeks after it opened, it kind of really makes the Star Wars area kind of really give it that big attraction that everyone was looking forward to. They sort of like a soft opening for a while, and it wasn't quite done. They're kind of doing the same thing with Avengers Campus, which is in California Adventure. It looks neat, especially at night. There's a lot of video and images from Avengers Campus at night, and it's all lit up and everything looks really cool. but reviews and fan reaction to the opening weekend were less than stellar. It was a lot of unused area, a lot of open area, shows that weren't there, food problems. The Spider-Man ride is just a reskin of one of the other attractions. It's like, they said it's cool enough, but it's like not anything big or exciting or special. You're just fighting like the spider bots that you can buy. Like you're not even like, they're not even like other characters in it. Man, I was so looking forward to, and I still am. I still am excited to see where they go with this eventually. But yeah, word is opening for Avengers Campus is maybe not the main reason to rush down to Disneyland if this is what you're looking for. Even when they revealed all like the merch and food and all that stuff, the merchandise looked dumb. It looked very generic and very bland. I mean, I kind of know what I get what they're going for, but it's just is nothing interesting to me. Which, you know, it is very hard to not want to buy everything Disney makes. It is very odd, and I feel Star Wars Land's a little bit like this too. A lot of the stuff is like, I mean, I know what you're going for, but this is just this doesn't appeal to me at all. It's, I don't know. Yeah, obviously, but hopefully by the time we get there, whatever the next big attraction is, there's supposed to be like some big like Wakanda thing going on, like another big attraction. You're flying through you're using the Quinjet and flying around and everything like that. So that could be super cool. It looks neat. Some of the stuff looks really neat, but
hey, the second they drop a New Warriors T-shirt, you're gonna be.
Oh well, of course, yeah. If they're doing that, you know, I'll be right there when the New Warriors ride opens. You know, I'll be there. But yeah, I'm okay that I'm not going because I was pretty excited, but I think I'm not too concerned now. Okay, we got a couple comic things to talk about, and then actually I think I got 2 Patreon questions before we get out of there.
No Invincible talk?
What's that?
No Invincible talk?
Did everyone finish it?
Yeah, I watched 4 episodes last night.
Okay.
I got as far as I did with Sandman.
Do you want spoilers, Toby? Do you care? You want to tap out when we're done?
Or I could I just come back. Just text me.
Well, no. We'll do the comic stuff. Then we'll hold on to the questions the next week because we could have more of those at one time. We'll do these couple of comic stories, then we'll do Invincible.
Okay.
So you can hang out as long as you want. A ton of comic news.
You can't extend the podcast at the end.
Well, you could stay through Invincible talk if you want. Not a ton of comic news, but definitely a few things worth talking about, and especially one of them being the forever, permanent, never will be undone, a once-in-a-lifetime event. You must forever remember where you were the day this happened. Keep your receipts. Get your cell phones ready, because Marvel is going to kill Doctor Strange.
Until the movie comes out.
In September. Okay.
Until the movie comes out.
This is how sad it's become, where we're deaf and nobody is like even blinking anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it was a joke a couple years ago, we thought, when Marvel was like, yeah, it's really popular when we kill a character, so we're going to kill a character every quarter. It's not a joke anymore. Like, it's what they do. So, okay. Maybe it'd be a fun story. Cool. Okay,
cool story,
Marvel.
Bro.
Gotta kill Doctor Strange. All right. Jed McKay. Black Cat's been fine. The end. I got nothing else to say. See you in 6 months, Doctor Strange.
I have to say it's funny because out of everything, I have one of my normal friends hit me up today, and I actually had no idea about this. He goes, "You're going to kill Doctor Strange?" I'm like, dude, it's comic books. He's, no death is real. And he goes, but still, it's Doctor Strange. I'm like, do you care about Doctor Strange? He goes, well, I like the movie with Cumberbatch. I'm like, well, he's not dead, and they're still going to do the next movie, so why are you worried? He goes, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they'll kill him just in time for the movie, and he'll come back, and they'll have a new #1. So, Doctor Strange has had a pretty unlucky run of creators over the last couple of years. A lot of series that just never went anywhere. It got canceled very quickly. I don't think necessarily because of the people involved. They were good. Donny Cates wrote it. Mark Waid wrote it. So just something about the character just had not taken off. But this is very common, right? I mean, Iron Man traditionally is not a good selling book. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, traditionally not popular titles. Avengers, right? I mean, they've had their ups and downs, but the comics rarely are top sellers. That tough to translate. The movies, Spider-Man sells regardless of if there's a movie or not. Right? I mean, the comics are just, there's no connection to what's going on in the movie world. So, but some other big Marvel news after a lot of shakeup at Marvel. As
what would have been perfect is if we're going right out of this into, look, somebody's coming back from dying.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be some new creators, though, coming over to Marvel and working on some new books, and big creators moving around. So Ram V and Al Ewing, as well as Brian Hitch, are going to be doing a Venom series. So this takes over, obviously, for Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. They're coming out of their big arcs.
The Ram V got me interested.
Yeah.
Not enough to buy it, but interested enough to read it.
Brian Hitch on Venom is a odd choice. I love Brian Hitch, but he doesn't do like monster stuff too often. He's very good.
He does the big creatures, but I don't think he does the what's the best way to describe it? That liquid. Like Venom is notorious for the symbiote suit having this liquid feel and look and kind of
like the promo art for it looks very superheroic. It doesn't look very Venom-y. It's an odd choice, but I'm in for the ride. Yeah, I like everything Ram V's done recently. I think it's a Ram V, right? R-A-M, Ram. I think that's how you pronounce it. Getting the nod from Kevin.
His Swamp Thing's been amazing. The Many Deaths of Star. I went back and started reading some of his back catalog. Like Blue and Green is amazing. So, and he does the backup Justice League Dark in the Justice League book right now.
Whoa, what is happening?
Happy's learning how to do something else.
So obviously we knew Donny Cates was going to go somewhere, and he is going over to Hulk with Ryan Otley. So Immortal Hulk wraps up in September, and then they're coming out back in shortly after that. So with Donny Cates, obviously kind of, big writer for Marvel at this point. So this will put a big spotlight on Hulk, because I think coming off Immortal Hulk is going to be a tough act to fill. It's been a very popular title. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, Donny Cates, he does good big stories, so it should be a fun title, whatever happens.
Big Hulk story. Ooh.
Yeah.
I just hate to see, I know this will not be an opinion shared by all. I hate to see Brian Hitch wasted on Venom. And by that I mean pretty much whoever's drawing Venom, it's going to look pretty similar. Like, it's just a character that I'd like to see Hitch on faces and a variety of characters, like somebody's JSA piece, for example. Like, that's where his strength is telling these big, widescreen, epic stories with lots of characters. And I just don't want to see him drawing page after giant double spread splash of symbiote action that anyone could do. All right, soapbox done.
Yeah, hey, it just isn't normally his style, right? So that's I want to see what he can do with it.
Sure, it might look amazing.
Yeah. And finally, last big comic news of the day. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I feel like I have to at least mention it in passing, and then we can
drop it and go.
I can talk about it briefly. The comic company named Bad Idea is quote unquote ending.
Did it even start? I don't even know of this company.
Yeah, so
I'm not dissing. I mean, the first time I heard of them is when they announced they're done.
Yes. So in 2019, I don't know when they left Valiant, but in 2019, a bunch of ex-Valiant, the modern Valiant people, got together to create this comic company called Bad Idea. And they said from the beginning their plan was to make every mistake and do everything, the wrong way on purpose. So their comics have been, COVID screwed everything up, so it pushed everything back. Very select number of stores. You have to sign up to it. You have to agree to all their rules. If you don't follow their rules, you are banned for life from selling their comics. You can only, again, some of this, do not quote me on this. I might be getting one or two of these details wrong, but from my memory of what the paperwork was that I looked at, you can only sell one copy of a comic to a customer. You cannot sell more than one copy. You cannot charge over cover price for the first 30 days. There will be no digital edition. There will be no trade paperback. You have to display promotional artwork and posters and the things they give you at the most prominent location of your store for the entire duration of the time. And that was literally one of the reasons we do it. They're like, you have to put this like frame poster up. I said, I cannot put this where you want me to put it. I was like, okay, well, that's the end of it then. I'm not carrying your books. They ended up shipping like their first book. They couldn't fill the orders. So they ended up shipping basically a second print in replacing some of the orders. They incentivize, people camping out overnight at their comic shop to be the first customer. The first customer who buys from some of these shops gets like a special thing. Yeah. So they are not going away. This is just another marketing thing for them. They'll change their name. Worst idea. I don't know what the hell they're going to call it and what the hell they're going to call themselves. But their last Bad Idea is Bad Idea shops. I believe next Wednesday have to pre-sell their next 5 series that are coming out through the course of this year blind. No art, no name, no creative team, no release date. And customers have to order that. They have 1 day to order them. And it's blind. But people eat this shit up because all their books are $500 on eBay because they make so few of them, right? Are they actually selling for that much? I mean, they may want that much, but I mean, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
They have like the people that they have like writing is like Robert Vendetti's writing something.
Yeah, they got
Matt
big people.
Kint is writing something. Margaret Bennett is writing something.
Are they making it so scarce that they can sell it themselves?
Probably
on eBay.
Probably
is that their marketing plan? Because otherwise, this makes no sense at all.
I mean, yeah, not everything's selling crazy, but some stuff selling for There's the gold button, the number 1 gold button sold for $150, $170, $300 for first customer to the shop gets this free book. People are selling, so they have first prints and not first prints. So they have additional printings that will not have an indication of what printing it is. And they are all exactly identical. People are selling the not first prints for basically double price, right? So,
you can pre-order 2 copies at a time.
It sounds like so much trouble. Like
it is,
why?
it is, and that's why I've generally not even bothered talking about it. They had some ash cans that sold for $1,000 because they sent them to people threw them in the trash because they thought it was some bullshit, but it was actually by like Matt Kinton, someone else, but they wasn't credited, right? So people thought this was just some garbage, and they threw him away. And that's what I've said from the beginning. Like,
well, on their pre-order page, it says pre-order all Bad Idea comics, no more than 2 a month, and I'm like, wait, huh?
Yeah, it's
and it's you tell us you like Elusive Comics actually sells their stuff apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like, but I have to select all this stuff: country, state, comic book store. Put my first name, last name, email, and phone number, and they said, and they basically say, pick a store below. We'll give us give us your details, and we'll let them know so they can get in touch and confirm your pre-order. I'm like, why don't I just talk to my fucking comic book store?
The whole thing is such a nightmare. I mean, this is all intentional, right? Like, this is not like a mistake. They're doing this on purpose. They're doing this dumb. to get people talking and.
Hey Ryan,
what's up?
Let me be your best customer, but you gotta pay me like $100 to come in, and I may just look around.
Yeah.
Is that a good deal?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. So great for everyone that deals with this and is okay. I just can't be bothered. But no, such a pain in the ass. So you'll hear about something in a couple of weeks when they announce what is what's going on. It'll be a new company. They'll have some new gimmicks. They'll have you jump through a bunch of crap hoops for their books, and there you go. That's all I got. We're talking about Invincible now. Toby, you hanging out?
I wanted to say something more about Bad Ideas.
Yeah, of course.
So I think what they're going to do next is they're going to just go to the straight Kickstarter model, but do that horribly.
I mean, I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. It's just like I don't even like talking about them. It's such a pain. It's such a pain in the ass because of course all the worst people on Earth are asking for the comics, right? It's just all speculator bait. I've heard the books are pretty decent, which is the disappointing thing. But
speaking of speculators, freaking Campbell, man, he had like a Repop road cover that looks amazing. Supposedly, when he posted about it, it was already sold out on the Repop site.
Is that like a con pre-order or something?
Yeah, but it's already sold out. Like by the time he posted about it,
yeah.
Him right, it was pretty much already sold out. I was like, this is fun.
I mean, once it's been announced, it's too late. So
unless it's a Batman Fortnite comic,
no, it's too late, right? By the time that went up for sale, by the time people were talking about it, it was too late. By the time,
but when it was announced 3 months earlier.
Yeah, but when Fortnite announced it, it was too late.
Yeah.
Invincible. We're going to talk the first season here for a couple minutes. So end this episode if you don't want to hear spoilers, and we'll catch you next week. But we're gonna talk a little bit here about Invincible first season on Amazon Prime from the Skybound Robert Kirkman joint. Robert Kirkman and Ryan Otley. So like most of these shows, Invincible is based on a comic that I've not read nearly enough issues of. So most of this was new to me. I read maybe the first arc or two. Yeah. They have quite a bit of that show in this first season, or quite a bit of the comic in this first season. So they did more than I thought they were going to do. But yeah, I mean, it's like everything. It's one of the giant list of books I want to get to finish reading someday. But yeah, Invincible, I think there's a lot of excitement around this. It's a very well-liked series.
Yeah.
If I had any complaints from the first episode or two, and it kind of does continue through the show, I find some of the animation a little stiff. Some of the characters a little stiff. Not all the time, but it's a little. They are pretty detailed characters. It's not like some kid show that's all super deformed and everything. It's pretty realistic. I thought there was a few points where it just felt a little stiff to me, and I don't know if maybe I just didn't notice it as much, or it got better as the show went on because they got a little better at the animation. But that was maybe the one thing that threw me off from the very beginning. But that said, put this down in the list of best comic book TV shows to date because one season in, Invincible was fantastic. Great cast, great story. Again, what I remember of the early issues I've read of the comic, they adapted, pretty close. They changed some stuff up, but it's got a lot of the same feeling and style to it. Surprising, the again, we're in full spoilers here. So the ending of the first episode, that felt way more violent than what happens in the comic. I think the comic's a little toned down comparatively, right? It's a pretty short. What's the dad's name?
Omni-Man.
Omni-Man, yeah. When Superman is killing the Justice League, this is just a much easier way for me to say it. When Omni-Man's killing those guys, it's pretty. It feels pretty brutal. In a weird flip, kind of how I feel like The Boys is kind of more toned down from the comic. I feel like that was toned. That felt more violent than the comic. I feel like it lasted a lot longer too. Brock, you got that first trade there?
Yeah, I'm gonna flip through.
Yeah, I feel like that. I don't know. It didn't feel.
No, you're right. I heard an interview. I can't remember where it was with Kirkman after the show was over.
Yeah,
and he was talking about how, in some respects, how when he was watching, he even would kind of wince at some of the things because they would crank everything up slightly higher than it was in the comics.
Yeah.
Well, the comics, the first trade doesn't even touch on that.
No, when it happens though,
yeah. Give me a second to find it.
So Ryan, how do you like the show overall?
Oh, great! Really like it. Really, really good.
Brock, how'd you like it overall?
Oh, I think the show is amazing. It's done a fantastic job of giving just a really good solid take on the source material.
Did you finish it, Brock? Did you finish the comic?
Yeah.
You read them all? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, so it happens in volume 2, and it's literally 3 pages.
Yeah.
It is what they cranked up in that show was comparable to what you see in here. Yeah, it's definitely cranked it up.
Yeah. So Kevin, what do you think?
So I never read the comic. I haven't even read one issue of the comic.
Yeah, I only read maybe the first trade's worth.
I love the show though. And this is exactly the kind of thing where if that same story, so what is the name of the other team that Invincible's on? Or did they have a name?
The teen team.
That's not what they were called though, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not worth looking up. I was just going to say,
teen team. They're
right.
Teen Titans.
If this exact same story was told with the JLA and the Teen Titans, I would hate it.
It's a identity crisis.
Yes, but because these characters were created to tell this story, I think it's great. I enjoyed all of it. I know what you mean about the animation, but I'm just talking about the story. Boy, the ending of that first episode is a holy shit. Yeah. Crazy. I mean, that scene was insane.
Yeah.
And you keep waiting for the I don't want to say the twist in that first episode. You keep waiting for this isn't what I think it is. What's actually going on?
Right.
And then it turns out that's actually what was going on. Yeah, it was so much fun to watch. I had a great time, and I really like that demon character also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the detective.
Really
He's not in the comic?
No.
Oh, I thought that character was really cool too.
Kirkman created a whole world of these characters, and so Battle Cat and a couple others branch out. They have other things going on, but the demon guy is not, if I remember correctly, he's not in it very, he's background character, not even.
Oh, okay.
But
he's very half John Constantine, half the demon, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with Invincible is Invincible takes every single superhero trope and just throws it at you. and says, you're going to deal with it. And like you said, Kevin, you like it because it's not the superheroes that you would think it would, that this would be part, that this stuff would be happening to.
Well, it's funny that both the boys, Invincible, and Jupiter's Legacy are all plays on DC and not Marvel characters. They all are. I mean, they are the Justice League. They're all different interpretations of the Justice League, and it is, that's interesting because is it just because of the sort of, that like kind of base template that those characters are that they're, I think you could come up with, the technological guy, the American guy, the god, the spy, the big brute. Those are pretty tropey characters too. So I'm surprised how many of these grabbed the Justice League and not the Avengers.
I think part of it might be Super Friends. In that, I know Super Friends hasn't been on in decades. I don't mean that, but I mean because that template has so permeated the culture, there's a lot less explaining to do copying the Super Friends than there would be coming up with an Avengers or a Defenders stand-in.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to. Avengers came out because of Justice League, right? Justice League came first.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, it's like, well, why would I copy Avengers when Avengers is just a copy of the original? I'm going to copy the original, right? Well,
I think also you get things like, okay, the lead super guy, the powerful woman, here's the water guy, the speed guy. You're just kind of there immediately.
Yeah.
It's just one power, whereas with a lot of the Marvel characters, you're going to have to explain multiple steps. Well, this guy's the god from this other planet.
Yeah.
This is the guy with the handicap who invented this technological thing to keep him alive. The DC characters are more elemental, like more pure, and I don't mean better. I just mean more pure, almost like explaining gods versus complex superhero origins.
Yeah. But that's what I wonder if in 10 years, 20 years, people that were kind of raised on the MCU, if their template will be the Avengers and not the Justice League.
Yeah.
Now, I still hated the title credit.
Oh, when he says his name or when someone says, I thought that was okay. That was clever.
They don't even say it. They just say, like, and the thing is like, they kind of started to do what I like what I liked on that title credit was just splash more blood on the episodes that were going to be bloody.
every episode was just more blood on it.
I liked that, but it's like every time they were like, and he's going to say it, they cut to the credit to title card. Woohoo! Don't care. It takes you out of a little bit, and I think for me that I was just ugh. It's the point in the show every episode that I'm just like, all right, I got to get this bullshit over with. I would have just preferred something like at the beginning, there's that Invincible credit. We get some blood splatter and then let's go. Right. Like that's to me, that would have been a lot better than let's wait for it.
It doesn't bother me. It's clever. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, everybody who talks about the blood splatter and the shock of the end of that first episode, that last episode was insane. That scene with the I'm assuming anybody who's still listening has watched it.
Yeah, we've already said spoilers.
The subway car or the subway train.
Oh, God.
That is one of, and I know it's animation, but even so, that is one of the craziest, most over-the-top, gory, violent things I think I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah, and that's not in the comic.
Yeah, that's one of the things that he referenced in the interview.
Yeah, that's not in the comic. And the thing is like, so my roommate came out as I was watching it, that last episode, and that scene came on, and I was like, oh no, they're going to somehow, if they get the rights, they're going to change that Kong ride to something Invincible, and you're just going to get this bloody scene and people riding through a ride of just like all this death and mayhem and chaos and just blood splattering everywhere. Like, They'll shoot blood at you.
And that's what he was talking about. Kirkman was because, he wrote the last episode, but he just says, this is the thing that happens, kind of, this is the action. Yeah. But then when he's watching the animated version, it's like, oh, it's not just one car. It's not just two. It's like, oh, could they have stopped it? Could they have stopped at 3? Nope. We're going for 4. Well, could they have stopped at 4? Nope. Here comes 5.
Fucking thing.
Yeah, the show was not afraid of.
I was just saying that final episode was brutal.
Yeah.
Well, I think what it is like with the boys, and I think that the level of gore that they push and the level of just what the fuck, right, is again something where they've had time to think about it. They've had time to go, let's reel it back in some cases, and let's just go for the just go for the home run here or whatever, right? Like, because reading the boys, you're just like, I mean, I remember the boys came out and people were like, I want to read this. I'm like, it's not like the show. There's a lot more in it that's.
I mean, it is. It's just, I think, like I said before, I think it's just too over the top and more cynical. Yeah. Invincible feels pretty close.
Yeah, Invincible I think is pretty close, but I think with that scene in the train, I think it's where we can do a little more, right? Like, you have 3 pages of him taking out the Guardians of the Globe, right? Mm-hmm. In the comic. In the show, it's an entire scene.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, that would have been a whole comic book. Yeah. If it was on, if they had done just that, like, it would have just been one issue with the amount that they gave to it. So, I completely understand people's just urge to get more Invincible. Like, that's why the compendiums are flying off the shelves, right? It's just, I think this is hitting at a time where people are just, they want something that's new and fresh, right? Which is funny to say because it's based on all the tropes. And, I mean, whenever he says Grayson, I'm like, oh, God, he loves Dick. Right?
Hey, I just realized the final twist of the knife for Jupiter's Legacy is Omni-Man and the lead character in Jupiter's Legacy basically have the same costume.
Almost, yeah.
The white costume with the red emblem and the red cape and the red... Like, it just makes Jupiter's Legacy, and I know I'm not saying that Miller ripped this off or whatever. I'm saying it makes Jupiter's Legacy look like a shitty ripoff show of what we've already seen.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just timing. It's just unfortunate timing.
Do you guys constantly see the image eye in Invincible's costume?
Yeah, but like, that's a purpose. Yeah,
I love it. I'm just like, it's like it works for me. It's great. Yeah, I know that some of the things that they did, like the pacing of the show is different because I think like the mad genius guy that creates all those like cybernetic wild army men, whatever things, right? He's trying to perfect humanity by, making them into robots. That character is actually fleshed out over a lot longer of the comic than what they did here. I know everybody was like, especially you, Ryan, were disappointed a little bit that Isotope didn't completely look like.
Yeah.
Is it James?
Yeah, James. Yeah. And I don't want to make it sound like it's just a gore fest, shocking show. That is not Invincible at all. Invincible is a very good story. It's it is shocking when stuff happens, but it's not at the expense of the show. It's it's part Spider-Man, part Superboy. A teen growing up, learning his powers, learning his place in the world, and coming to grips with the ugly realities around him. It's a very well done show. I'm very happy that Amazon picked up for 2 seasons. That gives me a lot of hope.
So this is the funny thing is after I watched that montage at the end, I was literally like, yeah, if they didn't know they already had they were going to do 2 seasons with that montage, I would have been that montage would have guaranteed they get 2 seasons because there is so much that they drop like tease in that montage at the end.
They kind of touch on everyone and then come back and then sort of like get everyone sort of caught up and now hey we're gonna go out into the next season and do something different.
How many people now think that there's chemicals in our tap water that's making us not able to see certain frequencies of light?
Yeah. Gotta be careful with stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I binged. I think so. For me, I watched Invincible. They dropped the first 3 episodes when it first came out, right? If I remember correctly, or was it 2?
When it came out,
yeah,
they may have. I think they may have done the first. I think it was the first 3 at release.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
So I remember watching the first 3. I watched the first 2 back to back, and then I watched the third one. And I was like, okay, like, all right. But then I waited to watch the fourth one, and I felt like I didn't get as much. And so I think this show, like, I preferred to binge versus watching it week to week. But that's also because I read the entire series in trade, not in single issue.
Yeah.
So I think it's a case of one of those like. I'm definitely, excited to see where it goes in the next season, in a few seasons, and what they touch on, because there's a lot of material that they can touch on. So, but yeah, it's definitely one of those seasons. Honestly, it's the first. Invincible was the first book I got into after getting back into comics that I was like, oh, it's ending, right? Like,
it ran for a long time.
And it wasn't anything like, oh, it was ending. I was like, Fables was ending, and I was like, okay, Fables is ending. Okay, I think Fables needs to end, right? Invincible was like, no, keep going. I like these characters. But yeah, definitely something that people should check out and pick up the compendiums because they're amazing.
Yeah, definitely his highest recommendation. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of like the more adult cartoons. We get to dig the DC animated movies, but I wasn't sure if a cartoon was the right way to go with this. But I think it was. No. I think it worked really well, and it let him do some of that ultra violence, and I think it worked really well. Okay, we'll have more to say, I'm sure, about Invincible and some of these shows and more comics and everything next week.
Well, let's just savor the moment of everybody on the show being in agreement on something.
It happens. What a boring episode.
I know, right? So come in with a flaming hot take.
Hey, I haven't seen it yet, so you never know.
Yeah, this is true.
I think you will really like Invincible.
Yeah. Toby, you should love Invincible.
Yeah, I think it's really up your alley.
Yeah, and Toby, on the topic of the 2 shows we've discussed on here that are on, I'm
just worried right now because you got Brock and Ryan saying I will like it.
Invincible.
Damn it!
Invincible and Sweet Tooth are about as opposite recommendations as can possibly be offered. One of them is very gentle and, for lack of a better word, kind of sweet, and the other one is not that.
Yeah, well,
so it just depends what you're in the mood for, kind of.
Like, Toby,
I generally don't agree with Brock and Ryan, so I'm just like worried. I'm like, God damn it.
Toby, you've never read Invincible?
Nope.
Oh, dude. Come on, man. You gotta read Invincible.
I gotta read a lot of things. Like,
no, I think you'll. I think you'll like them. You'll like them for sure.
Okay.
All right, we are going to wrap up. Thank you all, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast. Thanks especially to Joe Duff, Craig Anderson at ClearPathCoaches.com, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Talon Bray. Thank you all very much for your continued support of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast at Patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy at those high tier levels. And we thank all our backers at every level every month. Thank you all very much for your continued support. please head over to comicconspiracypodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify to find all our previous episodes. And go to comicsconspiracy.biz to pick up some comics from us. Of course, you can also use the Comic Hub app to sign up if you want to get a subscription through us. I know we're getting a big overhaul of the app and site, and I should say big overhaul, but updates are happening. Mm-hmm. And even just little simple things. Let me triple check to make sure it did go live, because I was looking at it earlier and it didn't go live. But just little UI fixes, little things here and there, just simple stuff like on the Comics Conspiracy website, they shrunk down sort of the real estate that the single that the comics and their search results take up. So you're getting more per page without a lot of dead space on the listing.
It was having that bad jump when you were like looking at books, like it would jump weird.
Before or now?
Before.
Yeah. They had they had kind of like this like permanent set amount of space between issues, and it led to like a lot of white dead space. So
I'm still getting a lot of white space on the main page.
Like looking at the items, they have dramatically shrunk the text and add to cart and in stock space.
Because right now, all I'm seeing on mine is like the words are bleeding into the images.
I don't know. Refresh. I shouldn't be doing that. Anyway,
Conspiracy. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, it fixed it now. Okay.
Yeah.
They could tighten it up a little bit, but yeah, it moves a lot better.
Yep.
Than it did.
So, not that COVID is anywhere near done, but the team is hard at work, and a lot of the big updates are starting to take place, and a lot of behind the scenes stuff happening after basically a year's worth of delays on a lot of big updates for Comic Hub. So I know big things are coming. I've been in some conversations with some of the stuff. So fingers crossed.
You got a lot of good updates. You're the PR guy.
Well, I'll say that. ConspiratorBrock.com is Brock's blog, video pull list and unboxing videos. You can go follow him over there. Charlie's has the Wanderers in Fourth Dimension podcast, all about Doctor Who. You can listen to that. Don't forget to listen to read Kevin's weekly interview series called Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com, where he interviews a bunch of comic creators. Really good interviews, too. I always appreciate his interviews. And if you want to check out some art, you can check out my wife, Leanne's website at leannehill.com. or etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. You can pick up some of her prints on there. Now, if you're on Twitter, you can follow myself, Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock, this is me.
Drum roll.
This is me editing the text file as we do this. Because after, I'm sure you know how many days, minutes, hours, seconds.
233 days.
And I'm sure you know the exact minute you were banned and the minute you came back. But Brock, at Brock Sager,
yes,
after threatening to assassinate a political figure on Twitter.
I didn't know. That is not what I did. No. Twitter I said a political figure was lying to you, and then if you followed a certain political party's belief systems, you were drinking their Kool-Aid, which would most likely kill you. But because of the way it was phrased, it looked like it could, with, I will kill you ended up being in the sentence.
Yes.
But it wasn't that. So.
Yes. I'll just double check those tweets.
I came back with the day Trump got rid of his blog.
Yeah. So definitely make sure you follow at Brock Sager as well. Sager.
You can follow you could BS Basement. It'll still be there. I might randomly tweet from that thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's his official burner account. Just beware. Use it.
Toby's Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. The store is... Oh, sorry. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp, of course. And the store is Comics Con Store. Don't forget to check out Geekbox. We had no new episode this week. We should be back next week for a new episode. We'll have some E3 stuff to talk about, I think. And Manga Machinations, our good friends that record some stuff about manga and anime. Please check out their podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening.